Hi everybody, welcome to our 4 o'clock live. I'm here with Monica, my dear friend. It is the day after Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I feel hungover from turkey. We were just talking about this. I think it's the only hangover I ever want, ever again. But I'll have to admit, I kind of took the whole week of stuffing my face with whatever I wanted. So after this weekend, I go back to diet. But yeah, turkey, candy, pastries, all those yummy, yummy foods. And I feel like I need to roll myself home still after all of that. How was your Thanksgiving?
Actually, it was really good. I do too. I work. And so we had a really good Thanksgiving at work. It was really great. Put on a whole meal for the ladies at work, and that was really nice. And then I go to my best friend's house, and I'm they're my family, like my second family. And so we had dinner there, and it's always nice. We cook, share, say what we're thankful for, and it becomes nice.
We did that yesterday too. We had a gathering at the center, and it was just a really special moment. You know, my family's in Canada. Our Thanksgiving was over a month ago. And so being at the center with the clients and sharing this meal with them, I told them, I said, you guys, I feel more comfortable here with you guys than I would anywhere else. And you guys are my family, you know? And then I had my son come over and we took extra food and gave it away. And it's just so nice to be sober for the holidays.
It is.
And not have to think about being under control of an influence, you know? Not feeling like we have to think about our next high, you know, or our next drink. And I can't even tell you how many holidays, I'm sorry, I'm just in my thoughts thinking where it's I had to plan out my holidays with drugs, you know, okay, do I have enough stuff to get me through Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's? I got to make sure that I get everything from my dealer, because then it goes into the holidays, and what if they don't answer their phone? And oh my goodness, you know, to not be controlled by a substance and just be free from that, it's just an amazing feeling. So I'm very thankful this year. Me and Monica go back 3-4 years almost now.
Yeah.
We worked together in treatments at a place we won't mention, but we learned everything not to do there. And we've stayed in contact, and you've been dear to my heart. I love Monica because she is who she is. And just your personality is just so vibrant and positive. She walked in here and someone asked something about what's going on, and you said, well, there's a lot of things I could say or complain, but what's the point, you know? And I just love that about you. I love your positivity. Thank you for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I think this is really neat. Yeah. It's really new, different, but I like the audience that it reaches and the way it goes.
Putting ourselves in those uncomfortable situations and doing it anyways, like we were talking about. I haven't heard your whole story. I think it's really impactful. What I do know, I would love for everyone to be able to hear where you came from, how you got to where you're at today, and how you live your life in your true self. If you don't mind sharing.
Thank you. Okay. So let's see. First of all, my name is Monica, and I came from, I guess you would say, what started out as a really good family. Right? I'm one of 3, and I am the oldest. And I have obviously a mother and a father who got divorced when I was young. And I have, I'm going to say a lot, and I didn't think I would ever do that. So I was raised like any other kid, you know? I mean, I was raised, my father was an alcoholic. My real father was an alcoholic. And my mother she's a very controlling person. Let's put it that way. And so, needless to say, I grew up in a very dysfunctional existence. You know, we went from one house to the next house every other weekend with the dad. A lot of abuse ran in the family. It was hard I started out at a very young age not really knowing who I was and where I fit in. My mother had a hard time when she divorced my dad, and I kind of took over as the parent in a general way. I have a younger brother and sister, and I was always, if something happened wrong, I was very protective of them. And I took over to make sure that nothing happened to them. And I would take it all. And through the years, I've become just like my mom. You know, I became very controlling. I was the boss. Everything that happened in my life, you did what I said. And if I didn't agree with it, it was your fault. It was never mine. I started out kind of drinking. I was raised in the 60s and the 70s. And I don't know if you guys know anything about that, but
yeah.
It was okay. It was acceptable. It was socially acceptable. They dipped children's pacifiers in whiskeys when they were teething. Yeah. And so I sat on my dad's lap, who was an alcoholic, and, you know, drank what he drank, which was beer, and it was okay. They thought it was cute. So it kind of started from there. I would run around and drink the drinks and sit on people's laps and get a sip and get this and that at a very young age, 3, 4, 5. And then I'd sit on my grandma's lap and drink coffee because it had a lot of creamer and sugar. So I think one of my first addictions was like sweets.
Yeah,
you know?
Me too. I was the same way.
Right. So I've done that. I did that, and then it kind of went into multiple of other things. And I think honestly, it went into multiple of other things, all the other drugs and stuff, because I was always trying to fit into stuff. You know, I wanted to be a part of this group, or I wanted to be a part of that group. I never really knew who Monica was, ever. You know, I had a program one time, I think I was in jail, and they asked me, you know, who are you? And I don't know. It was like, I'm Monica, you know. I never knew who I was. I never knew what I fit into. I was always trying to get validation and applause in areas from like my family members, I was an overachiever to an underachiever. I went through all of this, and then I started in college started in high school, where I started doing the hard drugs. I was a liar. I was a manipulator. I'll never forget, I was at football games, and I was so high and loaded, I couldn't see the scoreboard. And I was always asking everybody, what's the score? What's the score? What's the score? You know, because I never knew what I was doing. I've crashed multiple of cars, stolen my parents' cars, had parties when they were out of town. Never forget that. Huge parties, because we would lie to where I was staying, and my friend would lie to her parents, and I would lie to my parents. And, you know, it was always about the lying and the manipulating. It was always about getting what I wanted, what I thought I needed, and never owning up to who I really was. I just proceeded to go deeper into my addiction, is what I did. It just became easier to escape my reality by finding the drugs and the alcohol, because they covered up whatever was going on, no matter how much in pain I was, no matter how many lies I would get either caught up in or get away with. The drugs always masked those feelings.
So let me ask you, if you don't mind. So this was when you were a teenager. Okay, so when you were a teenager and you didn't really know who you were, and you were trying to find yourself in these different areas, what was going on inside? Like what was going on? Can you take us back, like emotionally? Like how did you feel in those moments when you would be acting out, or you would be
never felt good enough.
Never felt good enough.
Yeah, I never felt good enough. I never felt like I did the right thing, no matter what it was, whether it was right or wrong. And I was always looking for outside sources to fix it in one form or another. Whether it was relationships, whether it was party after party after party, whether it was being on my high school swim team, soccer team, all the above, because then I thought, well, then my parents will be happy. You know, I would excel in things, in the same breath be so loaded that I would eventually fall out of those things because of the need for somebody to tell me that I was okay. You know, for someone to tell me that I was doing the right thing, even though I was never doing the right thing, you know? And it was really just difficult understanding who I would lie about what I was, you know, like what kind of underwear I was wearing if I would fit into this group. You know, I would lie about who I was or what I did in order to feel like I fit in with you. You know, so, and that's how I got through it. And I bounced from people to, I was very popular, but didn't know any of my friends. You know, nor did any of my friends really care about who I was, as long as I was getting them what they needed or we were doing what we needed to do. I came from a very good family. We were pretty well off in retrospects, and I got a car when I was 16, and you know, you came to my house and there was every food under the sun. You know, my mom was very big on that kind of stuff, you know, and we had a swimming pool, and you know, we had things that people wanted, but they never wanted to know who I was to get there. And I just thought it was okay. And I thought, well, they like me if they're coming over to my house and eating all my food after school. Not my food, mom's food. But anyway, or I was driving them here and I was driving them there, and I was driving, you know, so I was a part of something. And I used to be really envious of my sister. My sister went through high school, and my sister has a group of friends, and she still talks to some of these friends. I don't have these people in my life. I don't have friends that I have held on to, that I have kept, that have stuck with me, because I was never a true person. And if I was never a true person and never knew who I was or wanted to be, then how can you really be a friend to anybody? So I really had a difficult time with that. And it was just on to what the next person could do for me, or how that person could make me feel at that time. Talk with my hands.
No, that's good.
I know.
It's good.
And so this is how I went through life. I went to college. You know why I went to college? Because I could get out of the house and mom and dad would pay for it. I had really no true desire. Went to San Diego State University, and at that time in my era, it was the party school. Let's go. Needless to say, I dropped out of college. I went from college to junior college to working full-time to junior college to working full-time, and the whole entire time loaded. I never stopped using in any form or another. I just kept going, and I never knew what I wanted.
So when you say you stayed loaded, what did that look like to you? Like what did it consist of? Your drug use?
Heroin. I mean, I've used everything under the sun. Heroin being my biggest drug. Like, heroin is my drug of choice, as they say. I've used everything, and I'll use anything. Like, if I'll use mine, yours, and everybody else's that's in the room. But I'm always under the influence of heroin for many, many years. It was my go-to. It was my everything. It was the love of my life. They say it's like a pink cloud, right? Some people talk about the pink cloud. It erased any feeling. It didn't matter if I was being abused. It didn't matter if I was abusing people. It didn't matter if I was hurting someone and they were hurting me. If I was robbing from people, which I did a lot of that. If I was stealing cars, breaking into houses, all of the above, nothing mattered, because the heroin fogged it and made it okay, and didn't make me feel any of the feelings, the shame, the guilt, or anything like that along with it. And I proceeded for years like that. I used to say that I was a functioning addict. I love that term.
That's
right?
what I used to say
it's
too.
Such a bunch of baloney.
Yes, yeah.
Baloney. Because I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't get up in the morning without a substance to make me move. As the years progressed, it was like I was the epitome of we used to live and live to use, because I did nothing that didn't revolve around a day-to-day process of getting what I needed. Whether it was a big score or a big job in order to suffice for a while, or whether it was a day-to-day hustle just to get the 20, 40 bucks that I needed to get well. You know, I've been through methadone programs, and that was the stupidest thing I've ever done, but I thought I had found the holy grail, because I was like, yay, I can get well and still get loaded. You know, and that was the worst thing ever, because then I ended up going to jail, which is my ultimate solution, my ultimate stop. It's the only thing that ever stopped me from getting loaded was the silver bracelets, as we say. And then I would kick in jail. And let me tell you something, that's not the best place in the world to kick. So these programs that have become in existence today, more so than they were when I started out, are a blessing. And like I keep telling people that I know, like, you don't know how good you have it compared to the jail when you got a cold set up and they said, go ahead. I've had, sorry.
No, and I think that's so true, is that everyone has these different experiences, right? And what is extreme to us may not be to the other, and vice versa. So for you, like when you were locked up and you're kicking, and then the withdrawal's over, and all of a sudden you're in real life and you're sober and the fog is clearing, what were those moments like?
Those moments turn into anger.
Anger.
They mainly go into anger. There is some shame and guilt in the initial fog lifting stages. And then I shove that back into another corner of my heart, my mind, and go with the anger. And then again, I put on another mask, because now I'm in jail. And I know I'm going to prison, because unfortunately this is what I do. I commit felonies, and I go to prison. And herein lies another mask, where now I'm that tough guy. Now I'm the person on the yard. Now I'm the one that, you know, the friends that have the stuff, and we call people nondescripts, and I'm one of the not nondescripts, and in the game again, just another form of the game, where it's tobacco hustle, it's hustle for this, it's hustle for that, it's hustle, and drugs never stop. Doesn't matter if you go to jail or prison, they're still there, and I'm still doing that, and hustling to either pay for that or getting the good job so I can do, again, another hustle, another way and form, a means to getting what I need.
It sounds exhausting.
It is extremely exhausting.
Did it feel exhausting in the moment? Or were you?
No, but I can tell you this, at first I thought it was cool and it was fun. Always thought it was cool and it was fun. I always thought I was a badass person. You know, I'm so not a badass person. I mean, I've been through so much, and I know how to survive, so I can be badass if I need to, because that's what happens when you get into survival mode. But I remember one time I went back and I did not want to do it. I didn't want to put on the mask. I didn't want to get in the game. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted the ground to like swallow me up, and all of a sudden become a nondescript and be in the little corner until somebody heard my voice and said my nickname. And I'll never forget that moment and that feeling like, oh crap, here we go again. And that's exactly what I said, here we go again. It was like, put aside wanting to actually maybe be a regular person, whatever that meant, because I didn't even know what that meant at the time, and go right back into the mask and the game of getting loaded and the hustle.
You know, you saying that, it gives me goosebumps, makes me want to cry, because I think so many of us do that in our lives, you know, in one form or another. And these masks that we wear and this armor that we put on, when really underneath it all, we're just crying for someone to help us, because we feel like we can't help ourselves, you know, because God forbid we surrender and actually have the willingness to just go, okay, I'm done, you know, and for me, that people would say, oh, you'll be done when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you know, and it's so true, because we talk about bottoms.
Yep.
We talk about, okay, what was your low point, you know, what happened, and I'm sure you can agree, there's so many so many bottoms that you would think, wow, like that was a really bad bottom. Like that should have been it. And we just keep digging and digging and digging because we don't know who we are.
Yeah.
And we have these behaviors and things that we're dealing with and all that guilt and shame and anger and just everything, that it's like a mountain that we don't know how to get up. So for you, what was the point where you were able to take those masks off? When was it finally time for you to get into solution? When you finally realized, is this is it? Or was it not, and it just kind of happened to go in that direction after a while?
Well, I forgot to mention, not forgot, but I have 2 children. And I was not a part of my children's life at all. Unfortunately, and this is my truth, and I say it now with a straight face, but it took many years of processing and step work to get through this. I abandoned my children for drugs and alcohol. Bottom line, drugs and alcohol were more important to me than owning up and taking the responsibility of having my kids and taking care of my children. Thank God for my parents who took them, raised them, and I'm grateful for them to doing that. But what my bottom was is I went to prison. I got out of prison, this was 7 years ago, and about 1.5 years later, I went back. And that was devastating because I was like, I thought I was never going to go back, and I went back one more time. And when I got out, because of course when I'm in prison I'm loaded, and I got out and I got loaded. I got off the bus and went right across the street and got loaded. And I was out for 4 days. And I don't know, I was like homeless on the curb, which never bothers me. I can sleep on the street. I've slept in my car. I've slept on the street. I went to my parents' house, which was the dumbest thing ever because they were not speaking to me. And I'll never forget knocking on the door, and my dad just slammed the door in my face. And again, that didn't stop. I kept going for 1.5 days later, and my daughter called. And she said, "Mom, you need to do something different."
And how old was she?
Told her she was crazy. She was in her 20s.
Okay.
And she was actually, my daughter is one of us, and had gotten clean and been clean almost 1 year. And I thought about it. And I don't know when the deciding moment was, but I thought, this is ridiculous. I have had some recovery, I have had some clean time, and I had had some step work before this. And I thought, I gotta do something different. You know, when the wheels fell off the last time, I knew before I went back to prison, I was and I knew that it was gonna end. And I said, when it ended, this was it. And I called her, and we went to a place, and I went into a treatment program. For the first time in my life, I walked myself willingly into a treatment facility. Never done that. It's always via prison, it's always via getting out or using it because I had nothing else to do. I needed to come up, I needed to sit down for 30 days to come up or regroup, a different plan. You know, never did anything for me, never did anything for the right reasons. And this time I went in there and I didn't know if I was gonna stay or if I was gonna go. My feet, what they call it cabbie feet. My feet were destroyed, I couldn't walk. They were in such bad shape from walking the streets and sleeping on the streets, and this was in 4 days. So, but I was able to get into this treatment facility, and I remember, and I've known a lot of people. I've been introduced to the program since 1996. Do not have that time. So I do know a lot of people that have been successful. And so they were taking bets on whether I was gonna even stay. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know I was gonna stay or not. It took me about 45 days before I decided I was going to do something different with my life. And it was a case manager that told me, you know, there's hope in you. And it took me a minute to figure that out, that there's hope just in myself and achieving something better for myself. And that was my turning moment where I decided to put the work in to becoming Monica. finding out who Monica was, becoming the person that I know God intended me to be.
Isn't that amazing how someone can believe in us? You know, we work in treatment and just being in service work, you know, going to meetings, working a program, just to be able to say something to someone else. You know, I think we take that for granted. Things that we say to someone else and how meaningful and impactful it can be. You know, and for you saying that, the case manager, like, it stuck with you.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was like this light went on, you go, oh. You know, and so I just think it's so important that we stay connected and that we're able to encourage each other and say nice things, you know,
Always.
and talk from the heart and just be sincere. So I love that.
Thank
in
you.
those 45 days before you really decided that you were going to do this, what was going on in those 45 days? How were you feeling?
Miserable, extremely remorseful, extremely guiltful, very shameful, because I remember I'd put some work in, so I knew a little bit about what these feelings were. Didn't like them, and they had a house meeting every day, every morning and every night, and they said, anybody that wants to leave, let us know. And I was smart enough not to say that, because I wasn't going to sit on the wall and let them tell me about myself. And I remember sitting in the back chair every day thinking, I don't want to be here, but I stayed. And I think that was my, like I said, though, that was my turning moment. I stayed no matter what. I did something that the program has taught me from the beginning and that I believe in, internalize now, is that no matter what, I stay. And as I stay and I stay clean, anything is doable. And I think that's one of the biggest things for me. I know that now, and I believe that now, and I apply that now. As long as I'm clean, and I'm looking for a solution in my life, anything is doable. It's able to maintain. Once I pick up, all bets are off. Because I just shove aside everything that I did learn. I shove aside any kind of feeling, and I just waylay the inevitable as feeling all those feelings all over again. You know, and as long as I'm clean and as long as I'm sober, I'm able to work on those feelings and find out where they came from and what makes me feel that way and why I'm feeling that way. And is it a good feeling? Is it a bad feeling?
Yeah.
You know?
So when you say the program, for people that don't know what that is, explain what your program is, what you do to stay sober, what kind of program do you work?
So I work a program of Narcotics Anonymous is what I work. My sponsor's out of Narcotics Anonymous. I work the 12 steps. I am currently working the traditions. I have a sponsor who has a sponsor. I have sponsee sisters. And I always thought that was the dumbest thing in the world. We're my sisters. It's so important. I have a group text with these ladies, and I don't know what I wouldn't do without it. We're not as connected, which is due to my own fault, because I've moved and I have a lot of alcoholic tendencies, and I'm a workaholic also, just for the record. Working on them, but I am. But if it weren't for that group text, and them saying hello every day and posting the Just for Today every day, it's like my connection. I know I have people that I can turn to at any given moment. And it just makes me feel good when it goes off. Because it's like bing, bing, and there they are, right? And I have a sponsor that I talk to. I go to meetings. My program consists of getting up in the morning and I read my Just for Today every day, which is a daily meditation book. I say what I'm grateful for every day before I go to work. I get in my car and I'm not I believe in God 100%. Am I a big religious, what do they call that, organized religious person? No, not my thing. Never felt comfortable in a church, still don't feel comfortable in a church. But I put my hands on the wheel every single morning and I look up and I said, okay, let's do this. And that's me giving my will to Him. Because once I think I can drive the car, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because I'm crashing and burning. And I don't want to drive the car today. So
very well said.
This is my program.
So if we could get a little more personal.
Sure.
So you have children, but we were going to talk about like the gay community, right? So for yourself, what was your journey like through that and your sexuality, and how did that work in your recovery? You know, how does it all come together for you in finding your true self, being okay with who you are, and for anybody out there that might be struggling?
I think it all goes with my story, is I never knew who I was. Always had girlfriends that were my friends. Everything was secretive. It was very hard growing up in my family that is now very supportive, because these things weren't allowed at my time. It wasn't as acceptable. And I'm so grateful for the way things have changed today, because it's very acceptable to be who you are. I was never allowed to be who I was. I was, it was just a secret. It was like my dirty little secret. And I always did things, like I said, for appeasing, for approval from the parents, and and it was manipulation too, because, you know, I could get money here and there, or they would help me with this, and, you know, I was good at lying in order to get what I needed, which they helped a lot with things, and it went to the wrong places. Always thought they were helping, and, you know, it was never going to where I said it was. And so I was always I never told them how I felt. I never told them what I was about, and I did everything I was like leading that double life. You know, this is what I look like on the outside, because I grew up like that. You know, everything had to be perfect on the outside. It had to fit the family picture and the Christmas tree and all that good stuff. And we never talked about our feelings, and we never talked about what was really going on and about who we were and what we were. And you did everything that your mother told you, even if you didn't approve. And that's how I lived. So everything that I was struggling with, feeling like, and wanting to be like, and wanting to do, I always felt it was wrong. So it took a long time, years, before I ever really admitted. I mean, for years I had clothes in my closet. These are clothes you wear to moms. You know, I did this, like, this is like this secret thing. I wear this every day, and this is what you wear to mom, so that mom was okay. You know, I got out one time and my dad was talking to me. He says, I don't care. I just want you to be happy. It doesn't matter who it's with, whether it's a man or a woman. And it was so relieving to me for my dad to be okay with me. Just be happy. My mom still struggled with it. And I think she still struggles sometime today, but I think she's so grateful for the program, because my mom and I have a very bad relationship, and we have a wonderful relationship today, because the program, when I put my effort into working a program 100%, a program has enabled me to be who I am, stand up for what I believe in, and be okay. You know, I don't need people in my life. I want people in my life, but I don't act like I need them in my life anymore. And I used to do everything because I thought I needed them in my life. There's a big difference between need and want.
Yeah,
and you know,
it's so powerful what you're saying, and I think so many people struggle with that. You know, with their sexuality, and I think it goes hand in hand with addiction. You know, and all these secrets and just lying, and like you said, like it's such an image thinking about your closet. You know, with clothes that you wear and clothes that you wear to moms, and I think people do that all the time. You know, and there needs to be more of a conversation about this and an acceptance. So people that are struggling in the gay community with sobriety, could you suggest some safe places for them to go? What does that community look like? Anything that you could offer anyone that's struggling with that?
I don't know, safe places. I mean, I think that the biggest safe, I mean, there's specific meetings and stuff, but I would say for me, it's more like any meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous or any 12-step meeting for me is a safe place. Because some of specific meetings, it's difficult to find, God, how do you say, like, what you're looking for, you know? And I have found that with working steps and being honest with one person about everything that I do and struggle with has enabled me to become true to myself. And when I become true to myself, then I look for those like-minded people wherever I'm at.
Yeah, that's so true.
I know that programs, a lot of programs are so much more open, understanding, and like empathetic to the whole situation. And I know that it's been like I work in this community, but it's still a general, you know what I mean? It's both. I don't know if I'm saying the right thing. I'm confused. Like, we are open to everybody, but we understand and we accept each person as an individual person coming in. And I think that's the biggest thing is accepting people for who they are and finding those people in your life. Yeah. Sometimes you have to be alone and be selective while you're looking for those people. I wouldn't say sometimes, all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Finding those like-minded people.
Yeah, like-minded people. And it's hard for some people to be alone.
But necessary.
But necessary. It really is.
So you work in treatment.
Yes.
Work in treatment, manage sober living.
Yes.
And somehow you find free time to work a program and do all these other things as well. So for you, where does self-care come in? What do you do? What are your hobbies? What makes Monica happy?
What makes Monica happy? Grandbabies. I have 2 grandbabies.
Okay.
And that makes me super happy.
I bet.
My grandbabies have never seen me loaded, nor will they.
I love that.
Because I work a program. And my daughter put down her foot, period. Bottom line, said, you ever get loaded again, you'll never see him. And I believe her. She has boundaries, like I have boundaries, and it's good. What else makes me happy is baking. I'm a baker.
Monica is an amazing baker. Seriously, like professional level baker.
I'm learning. I wouldn't say I'm
she's really
really
good.
professional,
Really
but
good.
but I like to bake. I like to clean, but I like to give back to women in recovery. So while I am working, quote unquote, 2 jobs, managing a sober living and working in treatment, it's a huge passion of mine for women in recovery because I know what it took for me and I know what women go through. And I know that we're very manipulative and we're very sneaky and it's hard. And I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen statistical rates, right? It's so much harder for women in recovery. And I have a huge passion for that. So it's like I love with the sober living because I hang out with the girls and let's go. And I can do that, you know, because I live with them and we can do things, you know, I do kayaking, I do swimming, I do the fun thing at the beach, whatever that was, the Newport Back Bay, the obstacle course.
I've seen the pictures on your social media and you inspire me, honestly.
I love it.
Because you're so connected with the women you work with your clients. You know, for you, it's not a job.
No.
You can tell it's a passion and it's where you're meant to be. And I see you going out and doing these outings and having fun and bringing women together and they adore you. You know, I see like this following of women on your page and they just adore you. For just being you know, being true to yourself.
Yes.
Which is beautiful.
Yes.
And that's all we need to do.
That's the important thing.
You know, it's like here we are finally taking off the mask, taking off the armor, saying I surrender, being our true selves, and then look at what we attract. You know, and you've attracted so many amazing things into your life. And I just love you to pieces.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm excited for the future. I know we were talking about it earlier, but for you, let's put it out into the universe. Where do you see yourself over the next few years?
Well, the next few years is the biggest thing is I'm getting into school so I can get my KDAT because I'd like to go and start out in case management. I'd like to work more one-on-one with the clients. I think it would be, I don't know, I just want to move forward in helping in a bigger way, if that makes sense. I know that everything we do from the very bottom to anywhere is helpful when we're caring and loving towards each person. But I just want to move forward and being more beneficial and just giving more care in one form or another. Ultimately, I would really like to do, I had a program, I got in trouble in treatment, which is an understatement, right? I threatened to blow up the place and I'm really bad. I'm like one of those people that like to rally the troops and incite riots, and because I always know what's better for everybody, and that's how I am. And I had the director of the program with the police call me into his office, and I was like, oh, crap. And he was like, look, I'm going to tell you. I said, well, I didn't mean it. And I said, okay, I meant it, but I wasn't going to do it when I said it. And he said, that's why they're not taking you. And I said, okay. And then he sat down and he proceeded to tell me, he said, look, this is my program. He said, I know what I'm doing, and I run it because it's my program. He said, stay clean and get your own program, and you can run it any way you want.
That's
It's
right.
always stuck with me.
Yeah.
So it's an aspiration to just move forward and help people. I never thought I would work in treatment. I thought it was crazy. But since I've worked in treatment and I've been interact with the women and the men and just anybody, my coworkers are fabulous. I absolutely love the people I work with. And I strive to achieve to program management or some title per se.
You already have a
in
title.
Helping. I know, but it just something.
You are just such an inspiration to
more.
me. You are. Your title is just selfless warrior. You are just the sweetest woman. So
Thanks.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You mean the world.
Thank you
to
for
me.
having me.
Of course.
I hope I helped.
No, you definitely did. And I just think this show was so important for people out there that are struggling with who they really are, you know, their sexuality, that, you know, it's okay to be who you are, and it's okay to ask for help.
That's the truth.
And it makes us stronger for it. So thank you so much for coming. Thank
You're
you everyone
welcome.
for watching.
Thank you.
We're going to get on out of here and celebrate the rest of our Thanksgiving weekend.
Right.
Bye.